Hessle Avenue, 1948. Left to right, Raymond Jackson, Fenwick Fox, Charlie Sanders, Raymond Fox, Ernie Hunter, Les Palmer, Kenny Leatham, John Sanders, Ricky Bourne, Kenny Knott, Ola Nelson, Dorothy Hurst, Tommy Watts, Maurice Staveley, Marlene Fox, Pauline Sawyers, Pat Knott, Kathleen Hatton, Barbara Wilkinson, Janet Staveley, and that's her mother on the doorstep. I used to knock about with them all down the street, all them. Apart from them three lads at the back, every one of them lived down that terrace. Les Palmer, he died at sea on the Farnella. Fenwick Fox, I think he went to Trinity House and finished up in Canada. I saw his sister, Marlene, quite a few years ago now, 5 or 6 years ago it'll be now. And she said, you won't believe it, he's nearly a millionaire. So he's done well for himself. Johnny Sanders, I haven't seen him since the early 60s. He went to Ireland, never heard anything about him since. Les Palmer went fishing, Ricky Bourne went fishing. But he was in the Merchant Navy, I think, he was Fox. But the others, none of them went to sea. I served my time at Emerson Smith's. I left school at 1952. I was due for a life as a fisherman. And my father said to me, don't go fishing, Ernie. He said, get a job. We was walking down English Street where Emerson Smith's is. He said to me, get yourself in there if you can. Get a trade. So that week, I went to Emerson Smith's. And I applied there for a job, and I saw the gaffer, a bloke called Hawke, they called him, Ben Hawkes. He said to me, yeah, we'll start here on as an apprentice, come in the morning. I started that next morning. And that was the start of my apprenticeship for 6 years. I started 15, and I left Amos's in 1960. And it was the noted thing then that when you finish your term, they used to finish you as well, to sack you and start you again. But at that time, there wasn't much work at Emerson Smith's. So I applied for a job at Humber St Andrews. I started there in 1960, the next day. And that was the start of my career on the fish dock at Humber St Andrews and Globe. And I was there till 1977 when they finished them all at Iceland and, the demise of the fishing industry. And that was it, and I was in and out of work then for quite a while. When I first started working as an apprentice, I was getting £1 5 That was pretty good, really, for that time, 1952. As far as money goes, the wages, I always had plenty of money. I always earned plenty of cash. It was a really good job, was the boiler making. Yeah, it was then. I think it was one of the top payers in Hull. The engineering. A woman down the terrace, Mrs. Fox, every time I went out, I was always dressed up, different suits. And she come to me one day when I was going out, she said, Ernie, how many bloody soaps have you got? Yeah, that was the exact words she said. If you saw the engine room on one of them trawlers, what was on survey, they're stripping all the engine to pieces, and the back of the boiler, all the sheeting come off the back of the boiler. The engine room was absolutely full of asbestos. Absolutely full of it. You could see the sunlight shining through the skylights. All you could see was your haze of flickering dust. When I was serving my term at Emerson Smith, I went in halfway one night, and two of the old timers, two of the old boilermakers at Emerson Smith was in there, and one of them, they called him Bob Bowden, and he saw me stood against the bar. He went and told the landlord I was underage and got me thrown out. Well, what can I tell you about the pubs other than, I can name them all, but I'll just tell you we used to go out on a night time at opening time, and we used to go to halfway, have a pint in halfway, then walk down to Miller's on the corner of Hawthorne Avenue, have another one in there, and work our way down the road. So have one in Raiders. There was men stood up to the door. You had to crawl your way through them to get to the bar for a drink. And the haze in there was absolutely thick with smoke. Yeah. Alexandra, and work your way down to Vauxhall, and by the time you finished, it was 10 o'clock and you was wrecked. I saw one or two skirmishes in the pubs, in rainers as well, you know. It used to finish up outside, and they used to be battling away outside, and then after they'd finished, they was back in the pub. That's my brother-in-law, Harry Colby. That's my father. That's Jack Jameson, my sister's husband, and that's my Uncle Horace. We'd been in halfway, rainers. Yeah, it was a window cleaner with Harry. They all used to went back to our house and for a couple of more drinks. That was it, took in number 52 Gillett Street. I bought the house down there when I first got married. £350 it cost. I waited while it was compulsory purchase, and I moved from there to Orchard Park. That was a trip from Fields Fish Merchants. My sister, Ruby, she worked Fields making the patties. Called them patty slappers. Jack, he worked at Woodger's, her husband. I can remember the faces of quite a few of them, but I can't put the names to them. I used to see them walking down Gillett Street, you know, when they finished work on dinner time or tea time. I mean, everybody knew everybody else, you know, around about where you lived, and if anybody could help you, if you was in a situation or something, they'd help you. From the right, that's Jack Jameson, my father, Ernie Hunter, Ruby Hunter. That was my wife, Brenda, my mother, Edie, Uncle Horace, and Aunt Emily. That's who my mother took down. That's down Gillett Street. Edith Hunter. She was born in 1908 and she died in 1983, I think. She used to work at Fields in the splitting herrings, and they was took in the back kitchen of Hessle Avenue then. My dad made these windows and, you know, to open in the back kitchen. That was another trip to Bridlington. They all got a buttonhole as well. This woman here, Mrs. Honeygold, not then, but when she got a bit older, she used to go in halfway and get absolutely wrecked. And they used to push. She always pushed a pram, and they used to push her home in a pram. No, she used to walk with the pram for support, and they used to pick her up, dump her in a pram, and push her home. But before then, she used to go in the butcher's, and I remember one day she'd been in the butcher's, got a parcel of meat and sausages and that, and they shoved her home, and all the sausages was hung round her neck. She was a right character, Mrs. Honeygold, honestly. That woman on the end was Mrs. Honeygold. That was Raymond Fox, Norma Bartle, Dolly Higgins, that was my aunt, Victoria Brown, Doreen Story, Isabel Nelson, Mrs. Sanders, Sheila Carroll, Johnny Carroll, Orla Nelson, Edie Knott, Marlene Fox, Mrs. Nelson, holding the baby, Sylvia Law, Mrs. Knott, called her Edie Knott, Morris Staveley, they call her Turner, I can't remember her first name, Janet Staveley, Florrie Clark, Elsie Knowles, Kenny Knott, Ernie Hunter, John Sanders, Fenwick Fox, my mother, Edie Hunter, Emily Clark, she run the trip. It cost so much every week, you know, they give her a copper or two every week and saved it up for maybe 3 or 4 months or something like that. Yeah, that was run from the street. And there was another woman down the street as well, she used to run trips, was Sarah Goldspink. Yeah, she used to run trips as well. All the women used to go to the pub across the road and have a few drinks in there and then come back and get a cup of tea on the beach. I just used to take a camera with us now when I went out. If you went to the seaside, you know, on a trip, you took the camera with you.